Hi, welcome to this brief tour of BrainWare SAFARI, the new version, version 3.0. I'm going to start by logging in. I have a username and I have my password. And as I log in, I want to point out that you have the little blue box with the double arrows down at the bottom right. If you click on those, it will take you to the full screen view of the program, and you can also then click the escape button to go back to the minimized where you can see where you are in your browser. But I'm going to stay in this mode. So the first thing we're going to do when we come into the program is we're going to choose our Safari friend. And here are our choices. We can have Billy Bear or Patty Parrot or Jackie Jaguar or Moby Monkey. And our Safari friend starts off as a young version of themselves. And as we pass milestones in the program and get through certain numbers of levels, they will grow up. They come out to congratulate us when we pass a level, and we'll go through different growth stages. So part of the wonderful reward system in the program. So I am gonna choose Moby Monkey today. All right. Now we come back to the resort, and I want to point out just a couple things here. There's a progress board here where players can always come and check their progress. It'll have your name here if you're the player, or your student's name if they're the player. There are a few different controls you can change in the program, so I want to point those out quickly. Under BrainWare SAFARI settings, you can choose the various sounds that the metronome can make. So there's a drumstick, a woodblock, or a chirp. So if you want one of those different ones, you can choose that. Let's go with the chirp today. You can choose a male or a female voice. The voice is the one that reads the directions within each of the exercises in the program and also provides reward messages. In the Whispering Waterfall exercise, this is the only exercise in the program that actually uses words. Everything else is pretty much not language-based. And the words are not difficult, but there is an option for an easier word list if that seems appropriate for you or for your player. And last but not least, if you would prefer not to have the level messages said out loud, you can turn that off. So I'm going to turn that off for now. And I'm going to click OK. And now I can go back to the Safari Resort, and I'm going to click on Back to the Jungle, because this is where all the action is. So all of these different highlighted areas are the 20 exercises in BrainWare SAFARI. They all develop multiple skills in different ways and in different combinations. And I'm just going to show you a couple of exercises today. I'm going to start with Bear Shuffle. So this is my demo, which allows me to choose my level. Everybody normally starts at level 1 of each exercise and then progresses through levels that become increasingly challenging. But I'll start with level 1. So here I have instructions. I can expand the level instructions. I can listen to them being read aloud if I choose to.
Level 1 starts with 3 cards face down. The cards are turned up one at a time.
So let's pretend we've actually paid attention and read them thoroughly. And we're going to go ahead and play level 1. What's going to happen here is that the computer's going to give us 3 cards with numbers on them and turn them face up and then turn them back over so we can't see the numbers. And our job is to get them into numeric order from smallest to largest. So I think I'm remembering the numbers, and I'm going to grab that last card and I'm going to move it over. You can see that the card jumps over when I move it. And now I think that they're in order. Let's see, I'm going to check my answer. And I did it. So I got that one right. We keep track of the wins and losses up here on the upper right, and we need to do this correctly 7 out of 10 times to get to the next level. So what I'm going to do rather than looking at the next level, however, is I'm going to leave the exercise, and it will take me back to tell me, of course, that I didn't pass it because I did not actually complete it. I just left early. And now I want to show you what it's like when it gets a little bit harder. In fact, maybe this is more than a little bit harder. I'm going to jump up now to level 4. So this time, and you can see at the top I'm on level 4. So this time, instead of 3 cards, the computer is going to give us 4 cards. And after the computer turns them back over and we can't see the numbers anymore, the computer is going to switch some cards around, not just once, but twice. So here we go. Six, 0, 3, 1, 0, 6, 3, 1, 6, 0, 3, 1. 6, 0, 3, 1. So I think what I need to do is move this one into this position. And the first card I'm going to move all the way to the end. And let's see how I do. All right. Got that one. So you get the idea of how much more challenging this particular exercise can get. And if we come back into the instructions tab, we can see all the skills that are being developed in this exercise. So a number of attention skills, sequential processing, visualization, processing speed, some of our very short-term memory skills, and including working memory. And working memory is a very important skill. We work on it a lot in BrainWare. And the important thing to notice at this point is that these skills are also developed in other exercises, but in different ways and in different combinations. And that's really what makes BrainWare Safari so effective in developing these skills, because we do it in a variety of different ways. Now I'm going to choose another exercise, and I think that what I shall do is go to Iguana Lookout. So Iguana Lookout is an exercise that works on some of those same skills, in fact, but puts an emphasis on directionality. So if I read the instructions, what I would hear is that I'm going to see a bunch of arrows like this, and my job is to identify the directions the arrows are pointing. So the first one is pointing up, so I'm going to click up, and then the next one's left and down and up. And let's say I make a mistake. Oh well, I can just start again and I get a brand new set of arrows. So as many times as I would need to do this, it's not about getting the sequence memorized or anything like that. I just need to be able to identify the direction of the arrows reasonably fluently. This is timed, but I don't have to race. I just have to be reasonably fluent at identifying the directions. So I've passed the level, and here's Moby, and he's congratulating me on passing that level and telling me bravo. And now I would get to go on to level 2. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to do one more exercise. I think I am going to choose web weaving, and I'm going to go in at level 2. And I'll explain level 1 as we go through this. So what we're going to have here is a spider web, and some number of lines are going to connect the dots on the spider web, and then the spider web's going to disappear, and we're going to have to recreate the image that disappeared. So when we start, we get a spider web with a couple of lines on it. Now if this were level 1, I would go ahead and click the buttons to draw the lines. But instead you can hear that chirping metronome based on the metronome sound I chose. And I need to click 5 times to that chirping metronome. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I can draw the image if I remember it. And I'll check my answer. And I got it right. So we use a metronome in a few different ways throughout the program, and that is one of them as a distractor and something that requires us to hold information in working memory for just that much longer while we do that distracting activity. Now, anytime a player wants to, they'll be able to come back into the jungle resort and they can check on their progress. You can see I actually completed one level. You saw me do that level of Iguana Lookout. And so there are 9 more levels until Moby Monkey will go to his next growth stage. And if I click on the progress board, I will be able to see with little gold stars, little gold buttons, the levels that I've passed. So this is the way that the player can check on their progress. The next thing I want to show you is how a teacher is able to check on a student's progress. So now I've arrived at the portal, the administrative portal for BrainWare Safari, and I'm going to log in as a coach. I type my username and my password, and that will take me in. So this is where I can come in and check on my player's progress. I'm going to click on coaches, and I will click on my coach name, and then I will click on players, and I will be able to see all of my players or all of my students, however you want to think about it, in a list along with the number of levels they've completed in the program. There are 168 total levels in BrainWare Safari and thousands and thousands and thousands of algorithms within all of the exercises. We'll show you when they first and when they last logged in and the number of login days. So if you think about the fact that we want to have 3 to 5 times a week for 30 to 45 minutes over about 12 weeks, we're going to want to see login days, as these students have, in that 30 to 60 range. And when we see that over that period of time, we are confident that we're going to see some significant cognitive growth. Now I can also do this. I can click on this Show Details link for any individual student, and it will take me to a view where I can see every exercise in the program, every level of every exercise, and what you're seeing here is the number of attempts that have been made and if they have passed that level. So what I'm seeing here is that this student has passed the first 4 levels. She's still working on level 5, where she's made 2 attempts so far. You can see just at a glance that there's an exercise that she hasn't done any of. And so I would be able to guide her and coach her that I want her to work in this exercise today during her session. In addition to looking at level attempts, you can look at level time. Level attempts is the default and is usually the most helpful. You can also choose whether to include practice attempts or to exclude them. There's a practice mode within the program that students can use if they don't want to have the pressure of trying to pass the level. This key here will show what the dots mean: level success, level fail, and exercise complete. So that is what the little colored dots mean here. If you are a coach and your player has forgotten their password, you can just click here to reset it. And the other button that's here is an opportunity to print it. So if I click on print, you'll see that I can actually print this whole view for this player, or I could save it to a PDF, or I could, so that I could share it with a parent or another teacher or those sorts of things. If I do not check background graphics, then those little colored dots will not appear. So if you get to this point in your printing and you can't see those colored dots, make sure that you've chosen have selected background graphics, and then those will appear. And finally, you have the ability to enter a date range here. So if I wanted to see when this student had worked, and if I would go back to, I think there's some data as far back as August, and then I would go to, let's say, today's date. What I can see is that there's some usage back in April and May, but not since then. And so if you have a student or you've made an assignment for them to work in a particular exercise at a given time, you can come in and set that date range so that you can check and make sure that they have done that. And then we can get rid of that date range. And we can refresh the screen. And we'll be able to take a look again at all of their usage. So that's the quick tour. Please check us out at mybrainware.com. Thanks for joining us today.